donuts.
Yeah. Oh, I'll include them. What's going on, guys? Another episode of Spark Notes, and I have a special guest with me, Alex from Maximum Charge.
I'm here for emotional support.
And donuts. Look at all these donuts. We have so many. We brought a lot of donuts.
They're low calorie.
They're
actually
low calorie.
0 calorie.
We're gonna finish all these while we do this. Now, is this something that you guys know about? I guess in this area of Connecticut, they make these special donuts. I think Jack pronounced them panskis. It's Polish. That's how it's spelled. I don't know how you say it. Anyway, they're amazing, and there's enough for 3 more days. But anyway, let's talk about some bikes. Today, Alex came by and helped us with a video that you'll be putting out probably within the next few weeks. I don't know when your plan is for that.
Pretty soon.
There's a lot to edit. But he brought by I'm going to mess this up. Is it a Goat Power Bikes?
Goat Power Bikes, yep.
He brought by one of his Goat Power Bikes, and he's done a lot of work to it, putting a Sabaton on it and a couple other things, big battery, but it didn't have any lights. And so we put our whole lighting kit on that thing. So if you've been curious to see what it's like to put on a lighting kit on your bike, hopefully this video will be helpful. I did mention it in the other video last week that I am doing that electric Grom project. It's right behind this camera. You can't see it, but in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be working on our own video as well. That's probably a little bit more in depth, more of like a tutorial, and you'll be able to see it there. But I think his bike is a great example of what it will look like. I think it turned out really cool.
It's really nice. You guys are going to like it.
Yep. But today we're going to try to answer some of your questions. I know he just put up a poll on Instagram, and I did one pretty last minute. This week, I didn't get a ton of questions, which is totally fine. If we ever have a week like this where I don't have a ton of questions, I can always just open it up because there's like an endless supply of things that we can talk about in the e-bike world or just related to Spark. But maybe we'll start off with some of the ones that you had, and
Sure.
then I'll talk about some of the ones that I got on our stuff.
All right, so this is from my Facebook group, High Speed E-Bikes. Ben John Sobek asks, how do I fix or connect the dislocated wire back to the hub?
So we were just talking about it before, and it's not totally sure exactly what you mean. Is this like one of the heavy duty phase wires that got disconnected, or did you cut the wire maybe? We've seen a couple of these motors come through that have like a cut phase wire, and that's always a scary situation. But technically you can open up these direct drive motors. You can open them up and then get on the inside, and you could try to solder on a phase wire, but you're starting to get into some scary stuff. So if you have an example of exactly what you're talking about, send it in an email to help@sparkcycleworks.com, and I'll review all the pictures, and it might be something fun that we can talk about next week, but I don't think I'm going to be able to answer that without seeing exactly
need
what's
more
going on.
info.
But before we go on, can you tell me more about the Facebook group?
Oh yeah, sure. So it's a group for speed addicts, not that kind of speed, e-bike speed. And pretty much if you have a bike or want to have a bike that goes over 40 miles an hour, feel free to join that group. Pedals and non-pedaled e-bikes are welcome. So if you have like a Sur-Ron, something similar to that, hell, even if you have an electric motorcycle, go ahead and join the group. If you have a bike and you want to try and make it go faster, you want to modify it in some way, shape, or form, feel free to join the group, post your bike there, and we'll be more than happy to try and help you out. More than likely, we'll probably just tell you to sell the bike and buy something faster because it's going to cost you a lot of money usually to upgrade it. But we have about 25,000 people in that group so far, and we're getting about 500 new members every single month, which is probably going to increase as we go into riding season. So yeah, it's a great place. We got some fun moderators.
Yeah, until he told me about it, I actually had not heard of the group. I'm not active on Facebook.
I wanted to surprise you today about it.
Yeah, I'm not active on Facebook at all. I had a Facebook a while ago, and then our Facebook got like hacked a few years ago, as well as our Instagram account. And after that, I just didn't go through the effort of setting things back up. But I did set up a account for Facebook for Spark. We're just not even active on it. The only reason I have it is so we can get ads on both accounts. But I might have to look into it and see what's up.
Cool.
If you guys, especially riders of the Brute and Javelin, check out that group. It would be great to see some presence of Spark riders on it. It'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got Wyoming Rider always out there. He's posting his stuff.
The man.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend.
Wyoming Rider, when are you going to fly out to
Was it like -10 out there right now?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's been riding a Brute. Pretty cool. What else did you get on your questions?
Let's see. How to add a way to easily disconnect the motor in my Motor Goat V3. So the bike that we just worked on.
Okay. So yeah, we were kind of brainstorming this a little bit before this video. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing because there are a lot of high-powered 2-conductor plugs, right? So like our QS8 connector, our XT60, XT90, there's a ton of those, but there's like no option for a 3-pin connector. So we have been hearing about some companies working on a high-output 3-pin connector. We haven't seen anything yet. So this is something that I was facing on Javelin, because right now we're using a far driver, which just has 3 terminals, and you just screw those cables right on. But I would love to have a way to make a quick disconnect, just like on that bike. So the way I would suggest, if you want to modify it, I don't know how many amps you're putting out, but they just like they make XT60s, they make a bunch of different versions of those, and they make a single pin version. And so if you have some soldering ability, you can get some of these single pin high current connectors. I believe they're XT90 single pin or XT100 single pin. I'll try to look it up and put a link down below. But you would basically have a disconnect for each of your phase wires, and then you would just have the main disconnect for all the other like hall sensors. So it's not a very elegant solution, but that would be the way to go. So especially if you want to change your tires out a lot, it's kind of nice. But
Matt, could he just solder on one of the smaller connectors that are on a lot of other e-bikes and just use that?
No, I probably wouldn't. You really want to make sure that when you're picking out your electronics, you follow the ratings that are published. You know, don't just say, oh, it's only rated to 30 amps. They probably make it actually good for 50 or 60. Don't do that. Use things that are rated to the proper limit and actually add some factor of safety in there and go above it if you can. So, anyway.
Cool. And we got one more question. This is actually from my brother-in-law. What's up, Caleb? Caleb asks, what's his top modifications? ? From basic to extreme.
Basic to extreme. Wow. Well, I guess if we are talking about our bikes, that's kind of an interesting question because we have people wanting things as simple as like the USB outputs, which we made as a standard option on the Brute. So that was something that was really basic, really simple. We just pulled off our 12-volt output and did a little converter so you could have a USB-C. But despite being so simple, it's like an awesome option because got 3 USB-Cs. You can power your camera. You can do all these different things. So that was a nice little simple one. And then as far as extreme goes,
should we tell them about the stickers that add 1,000 watts each? Are we gonna? We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait on that.
Yeah, we got to keep that under wraps. But you know what's funny about a related thing to that? I'll come back to the extreme thing. But stickers wise, we discovered something kind of funny the other day for Javelin, and it's very obvious, but it's a steel frame, and so Taryn just threw a magnet and it stuck to the frame, and so she had a sticker and just put it on the frame, and we were like, what if we just made a bunch of different magnetic decals and things like that you could put on your frame and not have to worry about vinyl residue and all this other kind of stuff. So I don't know what you guys think about that, making a bunch of magnetic like little accent things that you could put on your bike, but
That sounds really awesome.
kind of a fun little thing. Let's see, for extreme, we built a hill climber bandit, and I'll try to put up a clip of that. Just ease into it. Good job.
Yeah, we weren't expecting you to even make it.
The reputation of the company is in your hands.
Yeah. Worst investment.
Sam, are you ready?
This is the last time you're gonna see me alive.
We put a 3,000 watt on the rear, which at the time that was like, oh my God, 3,000 watt motor. Holy crap, you guys are crazy. Now that's it. And then we put another one up front, and you controlled the rear motor with your right hand and the front motor with your left hand. So you had this like tank control, and the thing was super stretched out, and we put cafe racer bars on it, which seems ridiculous, but we were climbing hills that were like a 45-degree angle.
You want that weight in the front.
Yeah. And so like when you were on the bike, it was like very upright, but it was like this really bizarre thing. And Teo rode the bike and ended up climbing the hill that a bunch of like high power motorcycles could not get up.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was kind of a fun one. How about you? What kind of, can you think of any?
The most extreme, let's see. So I built the bikes similar to yours, not with the swing arms, but two dual motor, 2 throttles. It just does front wheel burnouts. That's pretty much it. I actually went the other route, and instead of modding, I just bought a 22,000 watt bike. So I'm not going to do any power mods to that, but maybe I'll add some magnets and some stickers later.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, besides that dual motor bike, nothing really all that crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. The only other one I can think about, if you haven't seen, we built that 2-wheel drive tandem bike.
I cannot believe you caught that fucking
Dude,
I
you
couldn't
almost
tell where
nailed the camera.
I couldn't tell where you were.
Look at.
Hold on. You caught it with the, dude, we were going around and I was like, did you see me? I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was like,
I
where
saw you
is
on the
he?
minute. I was like, you might
Where
try it
is
now.
he? And then I saw you when we were about to exit.
I don't see anything like that at all. Seems pretty normal to me.
Anyway, I got some really basic ones, and then after these, we can try to think of some other ones to kind of dive into. But I feel like every time I do one of these, there's people asking about riding in the rain, which makes sense because the spike in orders that we have had from the Seattle area has been really strange. I mentioned this in the last video, but guys, we keep on sending bikes out to Seattle, so let us know what's going on. I think I'm gonna have to make my way out there. I have family out there, so maybe sometime in the summertime I'll make my way out to Seattle and we can go on a group ride or something. But in terms of rain, we use all of these really high rating connectors. So they're actually rated to IP, I think it's 68. I'll have to look it up exactly. But they have these little O-ring seals on them and these threaded pieces, and they go in so you can disconnect them if you want. but they're rated to be completely underwater. So all of the connectors on the outside of the bike are those completely waterproof connectors. And then the controller's not very waterproof because it has these open terminals, but we put that inside a frame that is enclosed and protected against everything by a couple different layers. So you're totally fine to ride in the rain. I have no problem with it. I've ridden in the rain plenty of times. If you guys remember, we did that kind of big trip in the beginning of the year where we went to all the different cities. And for those of you guys who remember Washington, D.C. and Richmond, we got stuck in torrential downpour and put those bikes to the limit riding for a few hours in the downpour. And they held up just fine. So riding in the rain you're totally good. Next question was about battery upgrades. So we had a person ask if they could just buy a battery from Powerful Lithium from the beginning and have us send out the bike that way. So we do have the option right now where you can buy a Javelin without battery, right? So it deducts the cost of the battery from the bike and you can continue your purchase that way. So if you want to do that, I would highly suggest order the Javelin that way, reach out to Powerful Lithium and tell them that you're buying a bike from Spark, and then Powerful Lithium, they can send us the battery. They're like an hour away from us, and we'd be happy to just set the bike up right from the beginning so that when it arrives to you, it'll have that battery. So yeah, definitely reach out to Powerful Lithium guys, have them make a battery. We already sent out one Javelin with one, and it was pretty cool. So try it out. So we got another guy here asking if Spark will ever make a scooter. This is something kind of similar to what we were talking about before. Alex was asking if we would ever consider making something similar to the Bandit again, like a lower cost bike. And the unfortunate answer is no. And the reason is right now, we really want to be an American manufacturer. We really want to emphasize the fact that we're making stuff here. We're not importing a bunch of stuff. And for us to make a scooter or for us to make an equivalent to the Bandit, it's just going to be so expensive. And we're never going to be able to compete with a lot of these imported bikes or imported scooters. So, but, I don't know. Is there a market for a scooter, like a stand-up, $3,000+ scooter? You might know better than me, but right now it would be hard for us to do, especially the engineering time. But yeah. Have you had any people like reaching out to you about scooters?
Some people say I'll post a bike online about it has X amount of power, it goes fast, etc. And let's say it costs $4,000. People respond to me with things like, "Oh, XYZ scooter goes that fast, and it's half the price." So if you want even cheaper speed, scooters seems to be a good option. I'm not really a fan of scooters. They're definitely not as safe or as comfortable as an e-bike. You're standing. Yeah, you can get one of those seats for scooters. I just think it's the dorkiest looking thing ever. I can't get over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, scooters are definitely a better value in the sense of you can get cheaper speed.
That's true.
And they have some insane scooters that go like 60, 70 miles an hour that weigh as much as a heavy e-bike. They're like 100 pounds,
yeah.
More than 100 pounds. They're crazy. But they're still scooters, so I don't know. Definitely, if you guys are riding one of those, like, people gear up all over, like big helmet, like padding, armor, everything, because the chance of falling off one of those, I think, is probably higher than an e-bike, than a fast e-bike. Yep, there's definitely a market for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in New York City like last weekend, and I don't know. I would have a hard time deciding if I lived in New York City if I would want to get an electric bike or like a high-powered scooter.
Yeah. Just
because of like having an apartment and bringing something in an elevator and zipping around the city, the scooters, like a high-powered scooter, is definitely pretty appealing.
I mean, how fast do you need to go in New York City? Top speed, realistically, 40, 50?
I mean, even that is pretty fast.
Yeah.
Unless you're S3 crew.
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, going like 30, maybe a low power scooter would be good just because it's so compact. You can fold it, you can easily carry it up and down the stairs if you need to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. When we started Spark, I was trying to make an electric bike designed for New England. And at that time, we had almost no bike lanes. And all of the roads around here are like 40 mile per hour, despite saying 25, right? So that's kind of what led to developing the Bandit. That's why the Bandit ended up being a high-speed bike. It wasn't because I wanted to be crazy power hungry or anything like that. It was just like a safety thing where we needed something to keep up on those roads. And I think the direction that Spark is continuing to go in is making bikes for more of like a suburban commuter, not necessarily a city rider. So obviously we got lots of people riding these bikes in the city, but I think the bikes that we're designing are more so for those people who are riding in a suburban environment, who are commuting, 30 miles a day at least back and forth on it. So I don't think a scooter is going to fall into that, but I don't know. You never know.
You can make a way to carry the scooter on your e-bike, like the Batmobile from the Batman movie where he busts out the motorcycle. There it is. There's a nice product.
Yeah, it's like the do you know what a motocampo is?
I do not, but I would love to know.
Okay.
City in city. 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 Honda, 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 Honda. City. Honda, 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 Honda. It will catch your eye in the city.
シティはニュースにあふれてる。ホンダからシティ
When Honda, it was like the 80s, I think, they had like their little equivalent of like the Civic, and then they made this little two-wheel vehicle called the Motocampo, and it's like this little folding electric moped, but I can see that where you have like your e-bike, and then the scooter pulls out from the back of the e-bike, and then you take your battery from your e-bike and put it into your scooter.
You don't even have to walk to get to your e-bike. You just take your scooter. Walking is so overrated anyway. I mean, who walks these days, really?
I think maybe we have a product. I don't know. That's pretty funny. What else we got here? A person here was saying, can I make a video on connecting a controller and connecting a motor? So, I've done lots of videos of us like building our bikes, building the Javelin kind of stuff, but I've never done one that was like a tutorial. It's always just kind of been like, hey, you're in the shop building a bike with me. But if this is something that you think would be valuable, I would do it. And it'd be very easy because it would literally just be me building a Javelin because we do all these steps. So I don't know, maybe in the next few weeks, I'll add it to my list of videos because I got a few Javelins to build, and it'll just go how to connect a far driver, program it, how to connect the battery, all that kind of stuff. So
that's actually a great idea because when I was installing the Sabaton controller on the Goat bike, it was hard to find videos of just basic plug this in here and then here's how you tune it. You really had to sift through a lot of footage to find that video. So I think that's actually a great idea.
Could be, yeah. Especially like what we experienced today. So on his Sabaton, I was expecting there to be a high break, like a high volt break that we would use for the 12 volt output. And his controller didn't have it. And so I could very easily see somebody looking up a video and then watching it and it just being the old Sabaton.
It's different, yeah.
So that's kind of one of the other things is like when you're looking up these DIY things, you really should try to look for the most recent videos.
Yeah.
Because even far drivers, they change the wiring up every once in a while on them. Trying to find a new video is...
And they make fake versions of these controllers too.
Yeah.
Like fake Sabatons, fake far drivers. So
yeah.
Who knows what kind of connectors you guys are going to have.
Yeah. So that's kind of some of the questions I have here, but I figured we'd try to talk about Alex's channel a little bit and see what he has going on over there. So
sure.
How did you want to talk about how you started your channel, maybe, just to get going?
Yeah, sure. So my channel started completely by accident. I got an e-bike. I started making videos. In fact, my first video that I recorded, it was filmed vertically. I know how much you guys love those. And I tried to upload it to Facebook, and it was too long to upload to Facebook. So I'm like, all right, let's throw it on YouTube, make some kind of name. I was like, oh, maximum charge sounds cool. and people started watching it. People started watching more videos that I posted, and here we are. It all started by accident. I am by no means some kind of expert. I'm just like another Joe Schmo guy like you guys. You guys probably know more about e-bikes than I do in some instances. And it really seems like you guys like the value-driven, fast e-bikes, or at least that's what I get. That's the idea I get from my YouTube channel. So if I see a bike goes nearly 40 miles an hour and it's a good price, let's say it's under $2,000, everyone seems to love that type of bike. And I totally get it. That seems to resonate with a lot of people. So that's kind of the content that I'm making with the more exciting bikes that are faster, but they're a good value as well. And I am slowly dipping my toes into electric motorcycles. I did recently get my motorcycle license, so I'm not going to be out there flying around illegally. And yeah, it's a whole different world, but I know there's some overlap between electric motorcycles and e-bikes. In fact, some people call one the same thing, like, oh, it's an e-bike, but it needs pedals. Oh, it's just a pedaled electric motorcycle. Some people, there's a fast e-bike, let's say it goes 40, people will be like, that's a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Even though it has pedals and gears and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just trying to give you guys some content that's both entertaining for me and for you. Some of the more like boring bikes that I reviewed, I noticed that you guys just don't even care about. And I find that if it doesn't make me excited, it's not going to make you guys excited to watch it. And so that's kind of where I am now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I think that makes sense. No, if you guys haven't seen it, he did come by, what is that, like 5 or 6 months ago?
For
when you took out the Brute and Javelin.
That was like
the summer
2 months ago, yeah.
I don't know.
2 months ago, somewhere on there.
But he did come by and take both of our bikes out for a ride. So if you want to check out that video, you can go over to his channel and see that. So what other bikes do you have coming down the line that you can talk about at least, or any other projects that you're excited about for people to look forward to next?
So I have, I did just purchase the Altis Sigma. What a name, right? So I'm officially a Sigma male. And it's the fastest, as far as we know now, the fastest out-of-the-box electric dirt bike that you can buy. And I purchased that for one main reason. I wanted to buy I wanted to build a bike that was fast and it had lots of different features, and I realized it would just take me forever to build it. There might even be some welding involved, and I don't know how to weld, so I'm like, you know what, let me just buy this bike first, something that's fast enough to scare me and that I'll never want more power out of, because I see this all the time in my Facebook group. Someone buys a bike and they're happy with it for maybe a month or two, and then they'll post in the group, hey, I've got this bike, 48 volt, yada, yada, yada. How do I make it just a little bit faster?
Yep.
And that happened to me, and it happens to everyone else. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me just buy something that's fast, and I will never want any more power.
Yep.
So we'll be making more videos on that. Currently, it is negative 3,000 degrees in Connecticut. It's insanely
so cold,
and so batteries suffer. I did a range test with that bike recently, and it did not do well. I think most of that has to do with the cold. So we'll be making more content with that. I'm getting a small mini goat, they call it, from Goat Power Bikes. It's probably the first 72 volt geared hub motor bike I've seen that's going to be off the shelf that you can buy. I know some of you guys have built those already, but we'll see how that goes with that higher voltage. It's going to go faster. It'll probably get to speeds of maybe 50 miles an hour, have lots of torque, and you can get it with like a 50 amp hour battery. You can even get it with dual batteries. And I know there's some new stuff coming out from that company, but I can't talk about that just yet. So yeah, it's amazing how fast e-bikes are getting and how cheap they're getting for the speed that you can get. I think like 5 years ago, some of these bikes would have cost easily $5,000. Now you can get it for like $2,000, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Alex actually lives pretty close to our shop, so we're hoping, as the year progresses, we'll be doing some group rides and things like that. Hopefully we can get you to come on down.
That'd be awesome.
And especially if you're going to be working on all these bikes, and you got any more that you want to do, any lighting kits too, or I'm about to put out that brake kit I feel like I've been working on forever, or our kickstand kit, all these other kits. I'm always looking for ways to test them out, because there's a million different e-bikes out there, and so if I can have another place to test them out, that's great. So I have a feeling you guys are probably going to see a little bit more of Alex as the year progresses.
Sorry.
And we'll work on more projects together. Let's see what time we're at. Oh, we're at 31 minutes.
Wow. That went quick.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's about it right now. I've got some other interesting projects in the works you're going to see soon. Last week I did mention that we are getting set up with a company in California. So all you folks who live in the San Diego area, Los Angeles area, you should get ready, because you're probably going to start to see a place where you can go test ride a Brute and a Javelin. And we also have a custom Javelin that I'm going to be putting up pretty soon. And it's going to be that Star Wars kind of stormtrooper-y looking Javelin. I'll probably put up a video about that next week. Maybe a couple little teaser pictures of this weekend. He got to see it. Alex got to see it this weekend. And it's pretty cool. I've got a few more things.
Comes with a lightsaber.
Yeah, we should do that. We should make some other accessory, like for the ignition to turn it on.
You get the whole stormtrooper suit. In fact, you have to wear the suit while riding the bike.
Yeah, that's the helmet.
Makes you go faster.
Yeah. So you get to see that one soon. And yeah, I think the next product that you'll see us release is like what I mentioned before, is that brake kit. When I release the brake kit, it's going to be kind of a weird release. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to put it on a pretty deep sale price. And along with the sale price is going to be a 100% money back guarantee. You can ship this back, no questions asked. Because the problem I'm facing is there are too many e-bikes out there with different geometry and different components on these frames in different places, which bike has its rack mount on this part of the fork, or like, it's crazy. And so I don't want to sell a kit that is not going to be compatible with somebody's bike for a silly reason. And so over time, I'm going to get a list together of all the bikes that this kit works on. So you can go to the website and say, okay, yes, this is my bike. Yes, it definitely works with it. But it's going to take me, selling a few of these kits to know that. So at launch, you guys can think of yourself as some beta testers.
Pioneers.
And, you're going to be able to put a legitimate motorcycle brake on your hub motor and finally be able to stop without having to completely rely on regen braking. So, and then after a few months of that going, I will work on a front brake as well. A front brake is far more complicated, and the reason is just the way it mounts onto that fork. It's a different setup. I'm going to have to CNC some machine parts, and it's a whole other thing. But
something Matt told me about today that I didn't even think of is that because these large rear motors, these hub motors, are so big and so heavy, there's a ton of rotational force in the back wheel. So a lot of people think that the front brake is the most important brake, and it is, but because there's so much mass in the back wheel, that rear brake does do a lot more work than you guys think, and I didn't even think of that, but it makes sense.
Yeah. It is definitely one of those things that you are taught that the front brake is the most important, and it certainly is, especially for a motorcycle and stuff like that. But yes, because we're running hub motors, there's just so much centrifugal force there that you got to have a good brake. And we learned that really, really hard on our development of the Javelin. When we got our first few Javelin prototypes together, and it was running just a regular, 203 millimeter disc and a 4-piston Magura brake, we thought this thing was going to stop on a dime, and it was like, man, we're running through brake pads here every 3 rides. So you need a good brake, but keep an eye out for that. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for coming by, Alex. Go check out his YouTube channel, and please leave some comments down below with some questions, whatever you guys want. It doesn't have to be e-bikes. It can be scooters. I'll try scooter questions, or PEV, or just batteries, or bike reviews. I keep on getting people asking me what I think about other bikes. Leave some comments down below. All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool. See you guys.